third day of my trip to Japan. We went to the sumo stable where you can watch the sumo wrestlers practice. It's, I think, the last sumo stable in Tokyo that allows you to do this, so that was really cool. And Janelle's such a great host. Before I came to Tokyo, she was just asking things that I might want to do and see, and I was saying how I wanted to see a sumo match, but apparently that's very hard to do. They are quite rare, only at specific times of the year, and also quite expensive, so she found me this alternative. I have this spot marked off on my Google Maps, so be sure to check that out and look at their website because they only allow viewing at specific times of the year. After that, me and Janelle went to Senso Ji, which is a Buddhist temple, really famous for the red tower and giant red lantern. The temple is just pretty cool to check out in general, but nearby there's also a lot of stores selling pretty much anything you want. Dresses, food, sweets, souvenirs, toys, everything. It's just really cool to see the different temples in Tokyo and how the different religions have, different things associated with the temples. And going to be honest, I don't know what these different, smoke and water fountains are for, but it was pretty cool to see. They also have something that was also at the other temple, like coin tossings at the shrine. But one thing that seems to be common amongst these places is the gardens outside of it. So it really just makes it a nice, peaceful area to walk around. And then we just walked around the nearby town. It was pretty early in the morning, so not a lot of shops were open. So then we just made our way to Akihabara. And Akihabara is sort of like the video game, electronics area of Tokyo. So, people can come here to get like the latest game, but also a lot of old retro games. Janelle really likes this store in particular, just to like kind of see, look and reminisce at like all the old Nintendo or PlayStation games. For lunch, we got some wagyu, a yakiniku, so you basically grill it yourself. It was really good. We ordered a couple different pieces, and we also got some pork belly as well. And then there was like one slice of beef they're supposed to cook in like 5 seconds, and you eat it with this raw egg. I probably could have done without the raw egg, just being right next to it, but it was still good to try. Trying to hit all the spots. I wanted to see the Imperial Palace. Unfortunately, it is closed on Fridays, and so I didn't get to go inside, but it was still nice to look at from the outside. And we did talk about trying to come back another day, but we had already had plans, and so this was sort of what we had for today. But Janelle still kept the fun going. We went to visit another shrine called the Hiei Shrine, and it was equally as beautiful as the other ones that I had seen. But the reason for coming to this one was not really to check out the shrine itself, but to see what's nearby. And Janelle really knows where all the best stuff is to see in Tokyo. So the real red gates that people normally photograph are in Kyoto, but Janelle gave me this really nice substitute instead. So if you're in Japan and you're just staying in Tokyo, this might be a spot to just go and check out real quick. On our way back to Janelle's place, we were just gonna go to the subway, but one of the subway station stops has a bunch of like Harry Potter stuff outside of it. There's a Harry Potter cafe, and then the entrance going down to the subway is also like playing a bunch of Harry Potter music and stuff, so that's just what this is. And then we went back to her place just to rest before heading out for the night to go to Shibuya. And Shibuya is famous for the Shibuya crossing, which is basically just this giant epicenter in the area where people are crossing from like 10 different crosswalks, and it's just super chaotic. So me and Janelle did that in the rain, which made it a little additional fun, and then I ran away from Janelle at one point, and she lost me. But the whole reason we were in Shibuya in the first place was because we were gonna go get like dinner and drinks with some of her coworkers. So we went to the Shibuya Yokocho, which we were there at sort of at my request. I asked that we go to dinner at a really lively place, and this was definitely that. It was super full of people, lots of noise. But oh my gosh, this whole entire place is a scam. They have this giant menu with all these items, but then they don't even have half of them. And when we try to order one of them, they're like, oh, what are you talking about? What's that? Even though it's on their menu. We ordered things and never got it. And so we ended up going to this Family Mart afterwards and like making our own chicken sandwiches. And then we went to a bar/lounge for a little bit too. It was a little early for the lounge part, but it was kind of just cool to go see one of the clubs in Japan. And we didn't really stay too long because the subways in Tokyo do not run all night. They have a hard stop around, like midnight or something. And so we decided not to stay out, but to just explore the rest of Shibuya. So Shibuya was also known to be a place where there was like a lot of alcohol and people would just like hang out in the streets. But they're trying to end that now. So there's actually a lot of signs around that say like no drinking alcohol in public. That doesn't really stop people. But it was interesting because for Halloween, Shibuya was always a real hot spot to go to and seeing everyone dressed up. And so this year they're kind of trying to stop that. And so then it was time for us to go back to catch that last train back to Janelle's area. Day 4, Janelle and I took a short trip to Kawagoe, which is sort of one of the towns in Tokyo that still has a lot of old architecture. So it's called Little Edo, but it also had a festival going on, and so that's why we were there. And here at the train station, you can see there's like these little miniatures that actually have the float and some of the like folklore creatures above the entranceway. And so for the festival, like each little part of the town, they have their own local shrine, and the members of that area that have that shrine will carry a float down to the Hikawa shrine to be blessed, and then they'll walk it back. But besides that, it's just a festival in general, so they have a lot of food and also a lot of games, and obviously a lot of things to buy. And so we just explored this one area with the shrine, and you can go visit, and they still had their float there, so you could see the members sort of just getting ready and preparing to go move it down to the main shrine. And then we just walked around, went to some of the stores off the street, and then just looked at all the fun things they had out for the festival. People were really out just exploring, having fun, enjoying the day. And lots of their festival food was a lot of meats or like fish and squid. And what was really cool was that you could actually watch them while they're making a lot of the products, whether it was, foods or desserts. You could sort of see them just making it at the tents where they're selling things. There were a lot of festival games, like you could go fishing for these little goldfish. They also had like a haunted house sort of thing, and it was really terrifying to children. I mean, they really went all out with their decorations, that's for sure. As we walked around, we started to see more of the floats, and they're really beautiful. They're like 2-story floats, and normally they'll have either like some sort of doll or something at the top, and then there'll also be people in them sort of telling a story or putting on a show for people to watch and listen. And these floats will just roll around and try to make their way to the main shrine, but then as they pull up against another float, they sort of have like a music battle. And these floats are being carried by people on ropes. It's not motorized or anything. They are just pulling on these ropes, tugging it down the street. And these floats are still based off the style as they were made back in the Edo period. So even for the wheels, they are sort of just on the one axis. There's no pivot. So even with turning, they sort of just have to turn the wooden wheels forcefully in order to change direction. And so we sort of just wandered through the town, got some sake, and then just looked at a lot of the older architecture and buildings that were still around in Kawagoe. And we passed by a shop where you can make your own chopsticks, and Janelle had actually done this previously before, and she loves her chopsticks, so check that out if you're ever in Kawagoe. There were a few people wearing kimonos at the festival, which looks really nice with the backdrop of the Edo period buildings. And Janelle and I were wearing kaori, which are normally worn over kimonos, but this was nice and light for our very hot day. And overall, it was just a really nice day, seeing all the different shops that are on Kawagoe, and then all the carts with the families running the business was really cute. Here we are getting some takoyaki or octopus balls from this family, and then also got some pork dumplings, which were really good. And we ate them while we waited for the rain to sort of break. After all this, we finally reached the end of the line, and we witnessed, I think, the last cart actually getting blessed at the front of the shrine. And they did a little performance with both the people that were on the float and with people that were at the shrine they sort of had a little back and forth between them two before the float went on its way back home. The Kawagoe Shrine was really beautiful. Here is one part where people hung up their fortunes or wishes, and they also had a lot of lanterns on the side and just some really beautiful trees. It's like I said, like all the other shrines have sort of like gardens or a little bit of forest around them, and they make it just really nice. This festival was so much fun. If you're in Tokyo in October, I definitely recommend visiting Kawagoe, or whenever you go to Japan, if there's a festival, definitely check it out. I would still recommend Kawagoe even if there isn't a festival, because there's still a lot of, cool architecture and interesting stores to go visit. At the end of our great day at Kawagoe in the festival, we decided to get dinner. I love udon. It's my favorite noodle of any soup dish. And so we stopped in Takadano Baba in order to get this udon at a place that I can't tell you what the name is because they do not have it written in Romanji. In fact, nothing was written in Romanji, which is basically the readable way for me to read Japanese. They only had it in characters, and these were the owners of the shop, this little hidden gem, and they spoke no English, and Janelle knows a few phrases in Japanese. So we sort of managed with Google Translate to try to talk to them, but it was a really great experience. We had the place mostly to ourselves. And they were just so nice, and we both got some duck udon, and the udon noodles are handmade fresh every day, and it was just so delicious and so good. Definitely recommend going. I have the place saved on my Google Maps. But the day still was not over. We decided to do karaoke for a little bit, and there's karaoke shops all around Tokyo, so you could find any one of them. But Janelle gets pretty serious about her karaoke, so we got some instruments and had our own private room and stayed for about an hour and a half or so before we headed home.